It seems almost impossible to create a top 10 of the most beautiful cities in Europe, and thus a recommendation for city breaks. Europe has so much to offer and certainly cannot be worked through with a list of 10 cities. Through the long history of Europe, many cities are known buildings of monumental dimensions. Temples, churches, cathedrals and castles, and city fortifications. The big cities and capitals of the European countries all have important landmarks, attractions and sites that are known beyond the city and country borders. Welcome to Europe. Paris. Paris is one of the most beautiful cities in Europe and one of the most visited metropolises. A city trip to Paris is a wonderful experience. Paris has something for everyone. Many wonderful sights, such as the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, the Notre Dame Cathedral, the Arc de Triomphe, or the gleaming white Sacré-Cœur de Montmartre. But the French cuisine is also world famous and an experience that you should not miss. Paris has many local cafes and restaurants. Of course, you can also shop in Paris. The city has a variety of shopping opportunities and is known for its fashion. For those who love culture and art, the city's many museums will get their money's worth. The world-famous Louvre alone is worth a trip to Paris. Then there are the Musée d'Orsay. And once you're there, use the time and take a leisurely stroll along the Seine. Take a trip on a boat on the Seine. A unique experience. Venice, Italy. Venice is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and therefore also in Europe. The city built on water offers unforgettable experiences. Venice has an incredible cultural heritage. And numerous sites that are best explored at night or in the early hours of the morning. This is when the beauty of the city unfolds at its greatest. The city is known in particular for Marx Square. The Doge's Palace, the Rialto Bridge, and the Basilica di Santa Maria della Salute. For a city break, you should definitely take a gondola ride through the canals of Venice and enjoy the unique atmosphere of the city. The city also has a rich cultural history. Be sure to visit the Gallery dell'Accademia, the Peggy Guggenheim Collection, and the Scuola Grande di San Rocco. And of course, you can also spoil yourself with culinary delights. Visit the local wine bars and taste the famous Prosecco. Prague, Czech Republic. One of the most beautiful and most visited cities in Europe is Prague, the capital of the Czech Republic. The city has a fascinating history. Beautiful architecture, and a vibrant cultural scene that attracts young tourists in particular. The old town of Prague is beautiful and full of historical buildings and monuments. The Old Town Square, the Charles Bridge, the National Museum, and the Town Hall with the astronomical clock are particularly worth mentioning. Prague Castle is one of the largest castles in the world. A visit is a must. You can already see it from afar. However, Prague is also known for the famous Czech beer and local dishes such as dumplings, goulash, and roast pork. An evening cruise on the Vltava along the many Prague sites should not be missed, nor should you immerse yourself in Prague's nightlife afterwards. Stockholm. The Swedish capital, Stockholm, is one of the most popular city break destinations in Europe. The beautiful old town of Stockholm is full of historical buildings and monuments. The main sights of the city include Stortorget, Stockholm Palace, and Stockholm Cathedral. However, the city has other interesting architecture that is a mix of traditional and modern buildings. Be sure to try Swedish specialties like meatballs, sandwiches, and smoked salmon, which you can get in the numerous local cafes and restaurants. We definitely recommend taking a boat tour through the archipelago of Stockholm. Enjoy the breathtaking scenery and beautiful nature around Stockholm. Amsterdam. One of the most visited cities in the world and Europe is the Dutch capital, Amsterdam. The city is known for the many branching, picturesque canals and bridges, colorful bicycles, and tulip stands. They give the city an unmistakable, charming flair and a picturesque look. Museum and art lovers, in particular, will get their money's worth in Amsterdam. In the museum district alone, you will find the Van Gogh Museum, the Rijksmuseum with works by Rembrandt and Vermeer, as well as the Stedelijk Museum for modern art and many other museums that invite you to marvel. Those who visit Amsterdam should also visit places steeped in history, such as the Anne Frank House. And of course, a visit to the only floating flower market in the world is a must. Of course, the many canals also invite you to explore the city with a nice boat trip. And at night, a lively nightlife attracts many visitors to Amsterdam. That is why the city is also very popular with young visitors. Rome. The eternal city of Rome, with its many sights, is of course one of the top 10 most beautiful cities in Europe. Located on the Tiber and built on 7 hills, the eternal city of Rome boasts nearly 3,000 years of world-class art, architecture, and culture. Since 1871, the almost 3 million metropolis has been the capital of Italy. Countless sites, such as the Colosseum, Rome's most famous landmark, the Vatican, the smallest country in the world, with St. Peter's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, and the Vatican Museums. The historic center with Piazza Navona, the Pantheon, and the Trevi Fountain are a must-do during a Visit Rome city trip. Plan enough time for this. There is also the famous Roman cuisine, including dishes such as spaghetti carbonara, cacio e pepe, and saltimbocca alla romana, which invite you to linger in one of the many restaurants and cafes. Vienna, Austria. One of the most beautiful cities in Europe, known for its architecture, history, and culture, is Vienna. The Austrian capital has a variety of sites, such as the Hofburg, the former residence of the Habsburg monarchs, and today the political center of Austria. Or the architecture of the Ringstrasse, with many of Vienna's most famous sites. Among other things, the State Opera, the Parliament, the City Hall, and the Art History Museum along the Ringstrasse. When you visit, you should definitely not miss a visit to Schönbrunn Palace. The palace was the summer residence of the Habsburg monarchs and is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The city also has a lot to offer in culinary terms. Vienna is known for the Viennese coffeehouse culture. Try a cup of coffee and a piece of Sachertorte in one of the many well-known cafes. And those who like art and music should visit the Kunsthistorisches Museum with works by Vermeer, Caravaggio and Raphael, or classical music and opera of the State Opera. Barcelona. Barcelona is one of the most beautiful and exciting cities in Europe. It is therefore one of the top 10 most beautiful cities in Europe. The city is particularly well known for the Sagrada Familia, a masterpiece by the famous architect Antoni Gaudí. To this day, the church is unfinished. The impressive architecture can still be admired and visited. A walk in Park Güell, another of Gaudí's masterpieces, is also a must when visiting Barcelona. Enjoy breathtaking views of Barcelona. You should also visit Casa Batlló, the Gothic Quarter. And the seafront promenade of Barcelona. In addition, the city still has many highlights to offer, such as the Picasso Museum and the A-Sample. The city is definitely one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. Berlin. The German metropolis and capital, with around 3.7 million inhabitants, is one of the most visited cities in the world and in Europe. Berlin is known for the many historical places, attractions, and sites, but also for art, culture, and nightlife. The city connects a lot and offers something for every visitor. Visit the many Berlin sites in the city, such as the Berlin TV Tower, the Reichstag, the Brandenburg Gate, or the Museum Island. The East Side Gallery, on the remains of the Berlin Wall, attracts millions of tourists from all over the world every year. On a 1.3 kilometer stretch of the Berlin Wall, you can admire 100 paintings by artists from all over the world. You can also take a boat trip on the Spree and admire the city's architecture from the water. Berlin also offers a large number of museums. One of the best known is the Pergamon Museum. It houses an impressive collection of Middle Eastern and ancient antiquities. And when the sun goes down, immerse yourself in Berlin's nightlife. Visit the lively alternative scene with many clubs, bars, and galleries. Budapest, Hungary. Budapest is the 9th largest city in the European Union and is also one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. Budapest is divided by the Danube and is connected by several bridges. The most famous of these is the Chain Bridge, which connects the two districts of Buda and Pest. A trip on the Danube is the best way to discover the many sights. These include the Parliament Building, the Fisherman's Bastion, the Matthias Church, and the Castle Hill with the Castle Palace. The Old Town and the many historical buildings characterize the city. In addition, the city offers many other attractions, cafes, and districts, as well as places that can be discovered through you. Also visit Gellert Hill. On the mountain, there is also the Gellert Baths, a thermal bath that is among the most beautiful in Europe.